Good evening and welcome to today's webinar. Thanks for joining us. My name is Danae Hebert. I'm the Healthcare Innovation Supervisor with Well Ahead Louisiana. Please note that your lines are muted to prevent background noise, but you are free to enter any questions into the Q&A box at any time during the presentation, and we will take care of all of those. Today's webinar is the 7th in our Telehealth in Practice webinar series presented by Dr. Ted Hudspeth. And today we're going to talk about marketing your telemedicine practice. The slides and the recording of the session will be available on our website, along with the recordings of all the previous sessions, which are listed here. And that website is walpen.org/telehealth. And we're also working on several pre-recorded sessions, which will also be posted there in the coming months. As a reminder, this series is funded in part by the TxLaw Telehealth Resource Center, which is a HRSA-funded program at Texas Tech to provide technical assistance and resources to telehealth programs in Louisiana and Texas. And through our partnership with TxLaw, Well Ahead is able to serve as the support representative for all Louisiana providers. And TxLaw is part of the National Consortium of Telehealth Resource Centers, and you can access their website and all of the resources at telehealthresourcecenters.org. And with that, I will hand off to Dr. Hudspeth.
Well, hello there. Welcome to our 7th now presentation on being able to try and make your own telehealth program within your practice. We have really organized this and come from the angle of trying to do this in a rural setting, but really this can be done from just about anywhere, because what I'm giving you in all of these sessions is basically the nuts and bolts of how to build a telemedicine program for any practice. So we've had 6 so far, and I wanted to open it up for anyone that might have some questions from any of our previous presentations. Please let us know if you have any now. Type them in the chat box. And if we have any, we can go ahead and do that now. And if not, maybe Danae, you can just cue me in a little later and let me know if we have any. Do we have any yet?
I don't see any yet, but if you have questions about any of the previous sessions or at any point during this session, go ahead and put them in there and we will definitely get those taken care of. So feel free to enter them as they pop into your head.
That sounds great. And thank you very much. So let me start with a quote here. Content builds relationships. Relationships are built on trust, and trust drives revenue. That was quoted by Andrew Davis, who actually was a social media expert. And it really embodies the thoughts of what I'm going to go through today with you. Because when you build content, you actually attract folks to you. And if you are giving of valuable information, then that builds trust over time. And there's no question, if you have trust, then that will drive your business. And that's what we're trying to do here, is help you develop your business, okay? So you guys, you cannot imagine what a huge resource you currently have access to. So there's a marketing toolkit that has actually been co-branded between the Well Ahead Louisiana and TxLaw Telehealth Resource Center that is actually bringing this series to you. And that marketing toolkit is phenomenal. It's like over the top. People would pay hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars for things that are in that toolkit. You've got to go and get that now. The folks who have brought that to you really have put a lot of thought and heart into developing that and providing you resources to be able to really make it your own brand, but it's all laid out right there for you. And so they go through various things like getting started, telehealth types and modalities, media guide, there's a messaging guide, an evaluation guide, and of course the templates that I spoke about, and then references and resources. The access link for that is here on this page. So when you actually go to the Well Ahead site, you can download this presentation, both the video and the PowerPoint, and the link will be right there for you. So after I build all of that up, I'm not going to talk anything about that tonight, okay? Actually, after this. So the reason is because it is so complete, you have to go and get that. It made no sense for me to talk about that. But what I am going to talk about is the social media part of that. So it's maybe a small snippet of that, but it's an area that I have done a lot of work in over the last actually 4 years. So we're going to start off with a poll. Danae, can you bring that poll up? Have you ever posted any medical content or information on social media? So that's you in your practice. Have you ever done that? Yes or no? Simple question. So Danae, do we have results?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Looks like we are just waiting on one more person to respond.
Right.
So we'll give them just a few more seconds and then I'll share the results.
All right, so we've had 1 and 2 no's. So we have one brave soul out there, right? I wanted to see who was posting or how many we had in this because, you know, this is not a common thing amongst providers. I think, first of all, there's a lot of fear in it. There's a worry that you're going to get inundated with questions or comments or God knows what, right? Well, that's not really been my experience, but I do encourage actually engagement with people. So let's go through an overview of actually what I am going to speak about. I'm going to talk about why use social media for marketing. One thing, it's free, okay? And it's very effective. I'm going to talk about why does it work. I'm going to give you an approach to social media to consider. And I'm going to talk about attraction marketing. That's kind of a buzz phrase, but it really describes what you're doing. I'm going to talk about authenticity and inauthenticity. I'm going to talk about the purpose of social media, and I'm going to go through some nuts and bolts of posting, okay? So let's talk about why use social media for marketing. 2/3 of Americans are on Facebook, and social media use by age groups, you see the millennials have us over the top compared to our age group, but half of baby boomers are on social media pretty frequently, okay? 54% of social media users use it to research their products or services, okay? And we are all in the service business. 71, just one second, let me get rid of that. 71% of social media users who have had a positive experience actually go and share that with family and friends. And that is a very big deal because when people share information about you, that gives you validation, okay? And since many people make their choice of what to purchase and where to go and what to do based on what other people say, it's important to have people saying something about you, okay? And 49% of consumers depend on influencer recommendations. So part of all of what I'm speaking to you about is actually kind of a roadmap of how to become an influencer. When you become an influencer in your realm or your world, then you can drive engagement with people, and engagement drives business, okay? So the reason it works is because posting with authenticity, and I'm going to use that word a lot here, authenticity, online leads to engagement. Engagement is what leads to conversations. Conversations leads to relationships and trust. And that's a really big word there, trust. Trust is what leads to business. And so you have to go back to the top of this. What leads to all of this is posting. When you post with authenticity, it leads down this path. And that is really your ultimate goal. So an approach to this is, first of all, you have to treat it a business. This is part of your business. If you're going to take the tact of using this, you have to treat it like it is your business, just like any other part of your business, okay? It's not just do things on a whim. So you have to plan things, okay? You need to develop your pages with appropriate photos and descriptions of your practice. So I usually recommend, if you are going to be on various types of social media, or reaching back to that toolkit that I described earlier, if you're going to have different things in different areas, you want to have a consistent picture or a consistent logo, so that no matter where someone hits your site or your posts, etc., you always have some consistency of recognition. You have to show yourself as a real person, okay? That's where the authenticity comes in. And so I have really purposefully used posts to be able to show myself in my real life. I've posted something walking with my dog. I mean, various things like that to show I'm real people. And that's one of the ways that you can connect with people. You should plan to use your social media platforms to engage with not only people that you know, but also this is an opportunity for you to engage with people you've not met. This is a method for you to develop your business and develop attraction to your business, okay? And when I talk about posting with value, you provide value not only through your posts, but videos also. Video is huge because the engagement from video is much higher than with just a simple text post, okay? Facebook values video much higher, so it distributes it in other people's feeds a lot higher than it would just a simple text post, okay? So I highly encourage you to do video. And that may be nerve-wracking or anxiety-invoking, but it is really the way that you win. And then lastly, I'll talk about groups. Groups is an incredibly powerful way for you to connect with people that have a certain interest. And if you have a certain interest and you connect with other people with a certain interest, well, you really can knock the ball out the park, because there you have a ready market or a ready group of people that have similar interests, so you can connect with them easily. And so in some fields, you have a business to business way of working or a business to consumer way of working. Well, I look at this as a human to human way of doing business. It is a way to be able to get you out there and connect with people in a way that's different than just seeing a patient in a room, okay? And that's where it really has its power. So the concept of attraction marketing, attraction is what leads people to follow you. So when you do this, it really results when you provide value to people. It's almost like you're giving the information away, so to speak. That's how I look at it in medicine. This is an information business. People look to you for information. So if you position yourself to provide them with valuable information when they just see your posts, who do you think they're going to think about when they really need to know something specific? They're going to think about you, okay? So that's what you're doing. You are attracting them to see you and then think about you down the road when they really have a need, okay? And I am not shy about asking for likes and follows. When you do that, when people are actually following you, then when you make a post, it's going to pop up in their feed a lot more readily if they have told Facebook, so to speak, that they follow you and like you, okay? So that's going to help you along, but you need to ask for that actively with people, and I do that in my posts. I also ask people to share the content. I have a little trusty group of folks that I can always depend on to share things within their own feeds, which that tends to really help out a lot with your numbers, because the more reposts that you get, Facebook sees that as something that's interesting. So then it's going to start popping that in other people's feeds a lot more readily. And so, again, when people see you online posting, if you're trying to develop a telemedicine business, then who are they going to think about when they want to do something online? They're going to think about you because they've seen you online. Okay. So the concept of authenticity, authentic people really are able to communicate who they are and some common characteristics about themselves to show that they are psychologically mature and are functional as a human being, so to speak. So some of the things that they have is that they have realistic perceptions of reality, and not only their own reality, but the realities of people that they're trying to connect with. So when you're posting, think about how others are feeling and may perceive the information and how it may affect them. When you do that, they realize that you are authentically caring for how they feel and how they live their lives, et cetera. Okay. They are accepting of themselves and other people. They are thoughtful of others. They have a sense of humor that's non-hostile, and they freely can express their emotions. So there, I think, I think about honesty there. Just being honest with people, and showing that you have some vulnerability yourself really will drive connection with people. And if you think about how you practice in your own practice, if you do that with people in the room when you are caring for them, that drives an authentic relationship in your clinic and is what makes people want to come back and see you each time. So there's not a lot of difference here. It's just that you now have a computer between you, okay? And you should still act the same way. And it really will drive the connection. Again, being true to yourself and others, and then really being non-defensive about various things, and will really drive that marker on the authenticity. Inauthentic people are self-deceptive, they're unrealistic about their perceptions of reality and really don't consider other people's realities that they live in. They are always looking for approval from others to feel valued. Again, authentic people are comfortable in their shell. They are comfortable with their information. They're comfortable sharing that with people. So that comfort needs to be able to shine through too. They're judgmental of other people. Inauthentic people are. They don't think things through very clearly. So again, your planning is very important. Having no sense of humor whatsoever online is not a good thing. And not being able to express your emotions or your feelings or being invulnerable is not a good thing when you're inauthentic. Okay, well, let's move on. So the purpose of social media is to gain a few things. The first thing is likability. You need to be liked, all right? And I promise you, if you are authentic online, you will be liked, okay? And so that's why I wanted to really go through that authenticity part so much, because that is a very important part to start with. Credibility is obviously the next part of that. And with credibility, you tend to gain this by the number of your followers, what your followers are saying about you and to other people. When we get to, actually, I'll show you my page a little later, and I'll show you where you can go in and actually see reviews. In that section, you can see what people say. Well, automatically, if you have people reviewing you and saying things about you, that automatically gives you credibility with other people, okay? Because they're basically sharing, what you've done for them and how you've affected them, et cetera. Recallability is another thing. Now, recallability comes when you are frequently posting. It keeps you top of mind with people online. And so that allows you to stay in touch when you're doing some frequent posts. And obviously, when you do all of that, that will lead to your profitability if you are trying to develop a telemedicine or online practice. Again, if they think about you when you're doing regular posts, they are going to think about you when they are trying to get their needs cared for online. Okay. So the purpose of the Facebook marketing, so to speak, is to turn strangers into friends. And when you're doing that, it will lead them to you. And once you get some posts online, you can actually go back and look and see what type of posts had the best engagement. How many people was it shared with, or where people commented on your posts? And there you can start molding your posts into those type of likable things that will drive your audience. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about posting itself. So there's a progression in this, and it's just like anything else. You have to be bad until you're good, and you have to be good until you're great. Okay. Your first post will stink. Okay. Expect it. It'll be awkward for you, etc. But as you do it more, you get a comfort level with it. You just have to set a time to start doing it. And, the good thing about it is when you first start, you won't have many followers, which is great because no one will see it except maybe you and a few family members, right? But as you start building your audience, that will grow as you get better. Okay. You just have to start somewhere. All right. So don't be afraid to do it. And when you do it, I talk about posture a lot. Your posture is how you carry yourself. You have to carry yourself like you own it. Okay. They say fake it until you make it, right? Or something like that. You have to just stand up and say, I am doing this. And people have to accept you as you are. Okay. When you do that, you will gain acceptance of people over time. And you have to not worry about if at first people aren't engaging with you right then, especially if you do a live, when you're doing it live, you're probably not going to have a lot of people on the live. Most video posts are actually seen later and the comments come in there. Well, there is where you need to be following up with those people who do post on your post or comment on your post. And that's where you can really start engaging with people. And there are some methods to be able to create some curiosity in your posts themselves. And that curiosity will keep them clicking through. Okay. And there are some actual formulas that you can use. There's a method where if it's just a business post, just talking about the business itself, then it really is helpful if you start with gratitude. First of all, not a lot of people do that. So it will set you apart. And again, that leads to some of that authenticity that we spoke about. And I really think gives a lot of validity to you and maybe how you carry yourself and how you like your business to be seen. We focus on the benefits of the business itself and tell them what it does, kind of like a big overview of that. And you don't give them the whole story, but you create curiosity about your business, and that will lead to engagement. The good thing about that, when people start posting questions, is Facebook sees that as something that someone is interested in. And it leads for you to have an ability to engage with them. It also raises your reposts and how Facebook will actually put it into people's feeds. So you want to kind of not spill all the beans, but try to gear up for some curiosity in your listeners. And a call to action is an optional thing when you're doing a business post type thing. A call to action is where you specifically ask for people to do something, okay? Now that's as opposed to a service post formula. And this really, I think, is pretty interesting, especially if you're going to be marketing specifically for telemedicine. There you are trying to post a way to help people solve a particular problem. So for instance, I could imagine a great post would be helping someone try to care for their needs when they can't get off of work to go to the doctor. Okay. So that would be a great problem focused post for you. Okay. You're basically trying to give them a way to solve their problems and a way that they can benefit from doing something specifically with you. There, a call of action is commonly done. You can say, so if you're having this need, this is what you do right now, and make an appointment and we will get things taken care of. That kind of thing would be something that you would use, or the verbiage that you would use. And so a lot of people who do business on Facebook, they actually do a live launch. So think about if you are going to do a telemedicine program and you want to launch your business on Facebook, you basically could even schedule this as an event where you invite people from your social network that already exists. If you're already on Facebook, you could invite them to an event, and that post could be your live launch of your telemedicine business. Okay. So in that, you actually could explain all of the things that you're doing. And this is really an opportunity for you to be authentic. Say why you're doing it. Say why you feel that being able to reach out to your patients, whether they can get to you or not, you can get to them now. Really go into those reasons why you feel like investing and engaging online in a telemedicine practice would be beneficial to them. And so when you get that authenticity, you might actually be able to go through things like and tell them why it's good for them, less cost, shorter wait times, continuity of care. If people are typically going to a walk-in clinic instead of coming to you because of access issues, you could tell them those things. You could talk about less time off of work, less travel time, etc. All of these are things that you could maybe do in your live launch to your patients and all of the community. In that, I would personally ask them to private message you if they have particular questions, okay? Because they are trying to figure out how to work things themselves. How would it work for them? And again, that drives personal engagement with people where you can then be real with them, tell them how it would work, and drive them to your business, okay? You might even want to talk about prior things that are types of problems that you have cared for through your telemedicine business, because many people still don't have the concept of what can you do in a telemedicine visit? What can you care for? So that might be a great opportunity for you to do that. As you move along, though, after you live launch, there are different topics of things that you could do for posts in the future. One would be different branding type things that you do, or, again, the services that you offer. You could have specific testimonials. If you have someone in particular that has utilized your service or your clinic, and they would be willing to go on and give a testimonial about that, that would really be a big winner for you. Some folks host specific events. So say you wanted to do a live event about how to manage diabetes, or how to use a glucometer, or ways to lower your blood pressure without medications. You could think of so many different things that you could have an event. You could invite to that event, which that happens ahead of time. The live event happens, you record that, and then that goes onto your site, okay? So that is a really neat thing. To me, it's a community advocacy type thing. It presents you as an authority on a particular subject. It gives value to people. So you can just think of so many things that type of post could help you with. There are news stories. So say you did something in the community to help a little ball league or something like that. Doing some sort of post showing you in the community is a good thing. We talked about features or your particular services that you offer. I have a listing here of an aftercare video. So say you had some things that you do frequently in your practice, and you like to give specific instructions over and over and over again about what to do. So wouldn't it be nice to be able to have a video about that? So there's one that I did. It's actually, I listed 10 ways to lower your blood pressure without medication. I posted that. And I actually have a little phrase that puts that on people's after visit summaries now. And I just copy that in, and people can always go to that post. Nobody wants to be on a medication. I say, well, would you be interested in learning 10 ways you can lower your blood pressure without medication? Well, yeah, I want to see that. So I'll direct them to that post. I still probably get them on a medicine, but obviously these little tools are things you can use and have out there, and then reference people to them, which again, that drives them to your online presence, which is what you're trying to do. So I wanted to see, actually, I will try and show this DASH diet example. This actually is from my Facebook. Danae, are you able to see this?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so this is actually a post about the DASH diet to control blood pressure. So I made this post, and through it, let's see if I can go down on this. I actually have access to a Facebook group on here. I'm having a little trouble scrolling down on this, but actually there's a Facebook group on here. There are files with how to implement the diet itself. And I actually have recipe links on there, etc. So again, I have over 1,000 people in my Facebook DASH diet group. So I've kind of become, an authority. And why? It's because I made a post and I put together something interesting that people can now, in a group, it's all people who want to do the DASH diet. So they start posting. And so in that, I'm just building a community of people that are like-minded that want to talk about a specific thing. And it happens to be pertinent to a lot of people in my practice, right? Because a third of my patients have hypertension. So that's been kind of nice for me, and has been a real driver when I have a group. And also telling stories. People love stories. And there's a little script you can use, which actually shows you as an authority, but also shows you as authentic. So as a blank, as a family practitioner, I want to be able to take care of my patients, whether they can get to me or not, so that I can help them when they need me. Okay, so you basically fill in the blanks here. That would be, why do I have a telemedicine practice? And you can just fill in the blank and tell a story. And in that process, you're actually helping people learn how they can solve a problem. Okay, so that's a little script of just how to develop a story. And then once you have people engaging with you, you need to follow up. That's really where the main purpose of all of this is you need to be able to engage with people. And invariably, things do start leading to, how do I take care of my whatever? Well, this is why many providers or people in healthcare are afraid to even start doing something like this. And that's because it's always going to lead to a question of care. Well, you cannot do that. You cannot take care of people in a non-HIPAA controlled environment, right? You have to have a HIPAA compliant venue to be able to do that, okay? So you just cannot do that on Facebook. But if you are engaging with people, that is exactly your opportunity to say, I know that I can help you with that. I can't do it through Facebook, but I would love to be able to set something up between me and you, either in my clinic or online, because I have a telemedicine practice also. And then you ask permission. May I set something up for you? You ask their permission. That gives people control. No one likes to be told what to do or feel like they're being driven to something. You ask them their permission. And when you do that, invariably, they are going to give you their information for you to be able to help them, okay? So that's it in a nutshell. I mean, that really is, when you're engaging with them, being truly concerned, offering value to people, they are going to seek you out, especially if it's online, because it's easy, okay? So there are some methods of operation that are recommended. First of all, you need to separate your personal Facebook or whatever social media venue you're using. You need to separate those and have a professional one. So I do have a personal and a professional one that I really keep my private one as private as I can. And I direct everyone to my professional one if they're looking for, medical type stuff. I recommend that you start that as a fan page. So if you have a personal page now, you can go in and make a new page. When you make it, they will ask you, what type of page are you trying to make? I recommend the fan page specifically because on that you can really track things a little better. You can see some of your metrics, etc. And you can do a few things as far as posting that you can't do otherwise in a regular page. I recommend that people follow at least a weekly pattern. More often if you have the guts and the data and the time to do it, but at least a weekly pattern so that people can see you online. And I also recommend that you do what's called a batch and block method. You block out a specific time that you're going to work on your social media, and you batch all of the recordings. You can batch them, save them, and then actually, if you have a fan page, you can go in the back and say when you would like those posts to post, okay? So it doesn't have to be immediate, and that gives you a lot of flexibility. And actually doing your videography itself, you don't have to be a videographer to do this. Your iPhone or your Android is probably good enough, but you need to make sure that you follow some specific rules. First of all, you try to, take up 1/3 of the screen. I'm trying to do that now, and you use lighting. Lighting is not very expensive. You can probably get a nice O-ring light for about $25 or $30. And you try to position that so that you're not shadowy or dark, okay? You try to pay attention to your background. So as you see, I'm currently using a background that allows me to, put a specific thing back there, all right? So it's nice if you can have a good background behind you. Your sound, in most cases, your sound is going to be fine. You don't have to use a special microphone. Some are a little bit better, but most of your cell phones are quite fine, or iPads or whatever you have are quite fine for this type of thing. And then you can get different shots. You can get really fancy and do different shots if you're putting something together. So in going through, this is a little snippet of my medical Facebook page. Again, I said it is different from my regular personal page. And I actually named it Live Healthy. It actually, the URL for it is fbfacebook.me/Ted Hudspeth MD, okay? And that's actually in the references at the end of all of our PowerPoints that we're giving to you. But when you go to that, you can see that I have across the top, Live Healthy. And if you look right under my name, I have, as a family physician, I hope to share information that I use in my medical practice to help people. Again, what I'm trying to convey to them is I'm going to be sharing information to help people. I'm giving it away, okay? I'm trying to add value to people's lives. And the header there, Live Healthy. I'm just trying to go through different things that I feel help people live healthy, okay? In that, you see, I'm not really driving home my practice or anything like that. That will come in the end because people will seek you out if they see you as a valuable person to follow, okay? I talked a little bit about the metrics that you can see when you have a fan page. This is actually from mine. And you can see both male versus female viewers and age groups. So you see, I have 78.49% of women are following me versus 21.51% of men. I don't know why that is. I don't know if ladies tend to engage more on Facebook looking for medical information, but I do know one thing: women probably drive more healthcare decisions in families than men do. I know in my own family that happens, okay? My wife is a pharmacist, and she takes care of all of us. So Maybe that has something to do with this, but it is important for you to be able to kind of go in and look at those demographics, and you can't do that with a regular Facebook page. So I wanted to highlight one thing here. Let's see if I can get to that. This is from my page. Let's see if I can go to the weight loss series. Whoops. I'll do that in a minute. Oh, here we go. Let's see. When you have a fan page, you can do these things called series. So I had one series where actually it was a weight loss management series. And I'm just going to scroll through. I did all of these different posts, and some of them were 5 minutes, couple of minutes, etc. And it's all ways to help people lose weight. Well, you know, these 15 posts took me some time to do, but at the end of the day, you can bring them all together into one series. So it's a nice way to organize yourself and your videos, and for your followers to go in and see a series of things over time, which was really neat. Okay. And there's another thing you can do. You know, when you do a Facebook Live, you can actually have a co-presenter. So I have done some events where I've co-presented with experts in other fields. So this particular one was with a registered dietitian, and we went through ways to set up your environment for success to eat healthy. Okay. So that was a really neat series. I'm sorry, it wasn't a series. It was just one video. But again, you don't have to be the expert in everything. You could work with other providers of care to be able to show your interest and your learning and your sharing with other people, etc. And again, this is a great way to show yourself as someone who other people would like to follow. And I had shown this a little earlier, but this is my DASH diet group. There are people from all over the world in this group. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be caring for folks all over the world, but the DASH diet is, you know, one of the most important diets you can use as a hypertensive patient. So this is something that people are going to search for because their doctor will be asking them to get on it. And when they go to Facebook, guess what they found? Well, it's, you know, there's my group. And it's neat that I now have other people that engage. They post recipes and their successes or their problems that they've had with it. So it just, again, you are providing a venue to be able to have people do better in their lives. And you're at the center of all that. So that's a really neat thing. I did say a little bit of, I talked about groups, but a few specifics on that are that, you know, in this, I guess, group scenario, you control the interaction, you control the posts, you can remove posts, you can remove people who post. It's very important to have that control because you don't want it getting out of hand. You know, there are some bad actors on Facebook. People will troll your group. That means they get into your group with other ideas in mind. They might want to engage with some of your people also. So, you know, you kind of have to look at people you accept into those groups. So the thought is you can actually have public groups. Public is public. Everything and everybody can see everything in a public group. I personally don't like that type of group myself. I do like a private group. Private groups are ones that are searchable. So people can go and look for the DASH diet, right? And they can find that group. They can kind of find a little bit about the group, but they can't see everything in it or the members in it until they get accepted. When you make one of these, you can actually list the purpose of your group. You can have 3 questions that you can ask people to fill out before they're allowed to join. And then as the administrator of the group, when they do all of that, it is fed to you and you have the ability to accept them or not. So ahead of the game, you can decide, you know, who do you want in your group or who do you not want in your group, etc. Okay. And then you can tailor your group to be those folks that you want in there. Okay. I'm going to show you another one in a minute that I think would be interesting to you. Let me pull this up right here. Yeah. You can also have some ground rules that people have to agree to. So there are different, when you build a group, actually Facebook will suggest some ground rules, but if you have some specific ones that you want, you can have that listed in there. And the third type of group, you can have a secret group. These are groups that are not searchable. No one can find them. That's a group that you could have, that you could put people into if you basically would ask them first. You don't just put people in a secret group without asking their permission first. But again, it would be a very closed group if you have a specific interest. Let's see. And in building it, I typically do recommend kind of a generic name that's, like the Dash Diet group, that's very generic and something that someone would be searching for. I have a welcome post in my Dash Diet group. I basically talk a little bit about the group, what I expect, folks to do in the group, and some links to some of the resources that I initially want them to see, like the NIH publication on how to implement the diet to begin with. It's all there in my initial post, okay? People do share testimonials in that group. I have shared some of my own, different foods that I've cooked, etc. Members can tag posts, so that this is really neat. Say, you have one specific post about, in this group, how to make a smoothie, and you want one specific person to see that. You can actually tag their name if they're in the group, so that'll post to their feed. Okay, so that's kind of a neat way to interact with people. And again, at the end, you are basically developing this into a loving community to help people do better than they could have understood that they could have done before. Okay, so you can imagine how this builds trust in other people. And I wanted to make a point. Your groups do not have to be just medical. So I have one, actually. I've built out this kind of thought of having a connection with other people by parish. I have them for all the parishes of Louisiana. I have not fleshed them out. So if anyone here is listening and would like to be a part of that project and develop your own parish's connection group, let me show you what I did. So I have one that's called Tangipahoa Parish Connects. And in Tangipahoa Parish Connects, and we'll see if we can bring this up, it basically is only of people from this parish. We talk about businesses, nonprofits, just anything you can imagine that is specific to the parish. And I'm having a problem bringing that up right now, so I'm not going to be able to bring it up. But you can go to Tangipahoa Parish Connects online and see what we've done. It says nothing about my practice. My whole point in that is bringing people from this parish together to work together, to support each other's businesses, etc. Now, I have like 2,700 people in that group. I'm reaching probably about 6% of the households in Tangipahoa Parish with our little group. That has nothing to do with medicine. But I do have a vested interest in trying to grow other people's businesses in Tangipahoa Parish. So think about groups in different ways than just putting your business out there. Support other people, and they're going to support you too. And that's one of the beauties of, again, what social media can do for you if you invest some time into that. So the magic really occurs when you foster the growth of a community that encourages the change of what someone's picture of success looks like. It's kind of an overview of where that magic occurs. And here you're focusing on helping others and encouraging people periodically to follow your main page and help you do what you do best, okay? And that's take care of people. And when you engage with people, I often work from the mantra of, every dud knows a stud, okay? In that thought, you may engage with someone, and they might not really help you out very much, but they know somebody. And if they comment or they post or they share, someone's going to see that is going to lead back to you too. And again, you are in this whole series that we've been developing, you're trying to really develop a whole new business. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. And but the benefits are so worth it. And it is going to actually lead you to probably enjoy what you do more, because most of us went into medicine to engage with people. And social media is a huge opportunity to do that. And I think many people, the reason social media has been such a big deal is because people like it. People like being with other people. And especially in these times of the pandemic, what better way to engage with people than through this? It's safe and it's very effective. There are methods to be able to do it the right way. And I encourage you to get started as soon as possible. We did talk about events a little bit. In the event, the beauty of that is you can invite people to it ahead of time. And so even if they don't make it to that event, they'll be notified about the event. So it's going to, again, put you at top of mind with them. And it will always be there for them to go back and look at when, they do have some time. You can invite all your friends and family. Of course, when you do that, you can ask them to do the same, invite their people. And again, most of the views do come after the event, and you can plan the event to lead to specific groups. So if you're passionate about hypertension treatment, well, many of your events could be built around that. Okay. And at the end, a call to action is usually appropriate. A call to action to, like if it's a hypertension post that you're making, call to action to get on the DASH diet now, or make sure you take your medicine, get with your provider, all of those different things. You can actually make a call to action and get them to engage. So my final quote here is, don't build links, build relationships. And that is where social media excels. And I truly think that if you give it a little time and thought, you can do it too. So at the end of our presentation, we actually have lots of resources to be able to help you. And I will now direct you, actually, this is on the wallpen.org/telehealth is where you can go and see all of our posts thus far. We will end up having 16 of these by the time we're done at the end of June. So you can always go back and see all of them. And now we'll leave it open for any questions.
All right, if you do have any questions, go ahead and pop them into the Q&A box and we will answer any of those. We don't have any just yet, but we'll give people just a couple minutes.
Sounds good. I would love to know the one person who posted something about medicine on social media. I would love to know what they did. If you don't have a question in mind sharing that, I'd love to hear it.
Well, I know, Dr. Hudspeth, that we do have one hospital. Their RHCs did a Facebook group at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And that was their way to reach out to their patients. And they explained to them through their posts what a visit is now going to look like. That you no longer can come inside. You'll wait outside in your car. You'll call this number, note what slot you're sitting in, then we'll come get you, that kind of process. And I think they were really happy with how that worked with their patients.
That's a great story. So think about that one post, if they had an EMR that allowed them to be able to email all of their patients, they could put a link to that one little post that they did and drive that out to everybody, which
They
You have to
did.
engage them, and they did that. Awesome. That's
They
fantastic.
did that, and they explained to them that, you know, the staff would be wearing a mask, and
Mhm.
that they will be asking you to put on a mask. Of course, you know, this was all early in before
Yeah.
we're used to it, but you
Right.
know, trying to get all that, get their patients informed so
Yeah.
that they didn't take as much time when the patient came to the facility, didn't
Mhm.
take up their time explaining over and over again. They could just text them the link.
Yeah.
And
That's great. That's a great story.
All right, I'm not seeing any questions. So if you have any last comments, Dr. Hudspeth, or we can wrap up for today.
No, I will just ask if anyone does have any questions. You can go on my Facebook site and
Meta's raised her hand.
Oh, someone raised their hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Meta, I'm actually going to allow you to talk and see if we can hear you. Meta, you should be able to unmute yourself.
I don't know. Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi guys. Thank you for the series. It just seems such a big thing to take over, you know, to start. So Dr. Hudspeth, did you start small and slowly added the things? Do you have somebody helping you do that, or are you doing everything yourself?
Well, I did start very small. And let me tell you a little bit about my journey. I started this about 4 years ago. As I said, I was doing a time with a personal growth person. I was trying to figure ways to better myself. You know, I believe that life is a journey, and I feel like if you're not growing, you're dying. Okay. And I did reach out to someone to help me with some personal growth. So when I did that, they challenged me to find a way to help people that had nothing to do with my clinic. Okay. And at the end of the day, I actually decided that I wanted to reach out to other people beyond my four walls of my clinic. I wanted to be able to do that. And I came up with this idea of social media. It's where everybody reaches out for everything. And I felt like I could reach an audience and people to share how to live healthy. Okay, that's really how it started. And I just started posting. And that slide about you have to be bad before you're good, and et cetera. I was taught that. I had to really take that to heart because I was really bad when I started. Okay. and so I did start small. But as I tested the waters, I really had a lot of positive feedback. I mean, it almost fed me to keep doing it. And so as far as the nuts and bolts part of it, I did at one point attend a social media training. It was an entire day that I signed up for, and this was probably 3 years ago. It was after I had actually started doing a lot of what I did, but it kind of, I guess, took the sharp edges off a little bit and gave me a little bit more direction and validation of things that I had already implemented to do. So some of the things that I actually went through today are things that I learned in that session. What I've given you is really a roadmap for what I've done and the things that you should do to develop your own. There's not a whole lot of extra magic, except if, trying to figure out how to make a fan page, where do you do that? I mean, there's some things that someone can help you with, but I didn't have anyone showing me that. I kind of had to click all the buttons in Facebook to figure that stuff out. So I hope that helps you a little bit.
Oh, it does. It gives us direction, you know, how to do and where to go.
Yeah. And would you mind me asking, where are you from?
we have two rural health clinics. One is in Mamou, Louisiana, which is Evangeline Parish.
I know where it is.
Yes, tiny, tiny Mamou, 3,500 population.
Yes.
And the other one is in Allen Parish in Oakville.
Okay. Yes. All right. My best friend from medical school, who I still keep up with, he grew up in Mamou, so
who's
he now
that?
works in Lafayette, but he's an anesthesiologist. Wonderful city.
Yes, yes.
Well, think about this. You are in a very tiny city of Mamou, but
yes.
through social media, you can reach the entire world. You know, you can reach the entire world.
Yeah.
And it brings so many things together for you, and you could be a conduit to bring the world of medicine to the people that you live right next door to. You can bring anyone and anything to your people that you care for,
Yeah,
and
we have wonderful
that's very
hospital.
powerful. What's
Yeah.
that?
Thank you so much. I mean, it actually, your whole series has been wonderful because it kind of sets up a utopia of where you want to be, and we're just starting out, so it does give us a go. Thank you.
Thank you for saying that. You know, I do like the feedback. I'd like to make it as good as possible, because I do feel that this is going to be big. This is going to be the way that most people will want to be cared for if it's medically appropriate as we move forward. I just cannot see it any other way. The market will drive us to be in a telemedicine platform as much as possible. That's my true belief.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Meta, for your question and for jumping onto most of these calls. We've been seeing you at a lot of them, and we've been getting your questions. So thank you so much for being so engaged. We are going to go ahead and wrap up because we are a few minutes over time. So thanks again for joining us. Remember that this recording and the PowerPoint is going to be on our walpin.org/telehealth website. You can submit questions through a form on the bottom of that page as well. Our next session in the series is going to be in 2 weeks, April 22nd at 5:30 p.m. And I think we're going to be talking about value metrics in telemedicine. And then when you exit the session, you should get a survey question in your internet browser about future topics in our education series. So any topics that you can think of that we haven't already covered, please go ahead and put those in there, and we will put that on our list to give you guys education on that. And as always, please feel free to reach out to us at any time with any questions. And thanks, and have a great night.